productivity and growth, and the cost of military support, such as healthcare, pulls funds away from other essential social support programs because the people drafted, the government has to pay for all of their healthcare and everything, and the long-term effects of mental conditions such as PTSD will leave veterans and their families with long-term health challenges and expenses, which adds further strain on social support systems. And this kind of refutes the point that we need to protect our country at all costs, because if we do win the war and then we have all of these expenses and challenges from the draft and we're just in a ton of debt anyway, then it doesn't really matter because the nation's ruined either way. And all of this connects back to the definition of justice, because it goes directly against the fairly judging and redressing wrongs, and it's not for the good of the people.
I would argue that it is for the good of the whole, and I guess it kind of comes down to that theme that's in a lot of books. What about the greater good? So, if people's houses are getting bombed, or lives are getting ruined in other ways because of war, I feel like military conscription, if that in any way could have prevented the decline of the country's greater good, then maybe it should be done.
Can you repeat that?
I guess it comes down to the greater good. So if the people's houses are getting bombed and lives are getting destroyed and jobs are disrupted because a war is happening, in my opinion, if military conscription was mandatory and certain people had to serve, and there was a chance that would prevent the greater good of the entire country from declining, then that should be the route we would take.
That's true, and I do think that the draft should be implemented in the case that it's for the greater good, but I think it's important to remember that the prompt we're arguing is whether or not it's just, and I agree that if it's for the greater good, then it should still be implemented, but I think if we go off the definition of justice, that it doesn't follow it and that the draft is unjust. So to conclude, I think that military conscription is unjust because it disrupts civilian life, has historically affected the poor and marginalized, and goes against our human right of freedom. I stand resolved that military conscription is unjust, and I stand for cross-examination.